potential investment from Indian investors in these economic zones in Bangladesh, namely Mongla, Bheramara, and Mirsharai, to broaden our exportable base. The interesting feature in bilateral economic engagement between India and Bangladesh is that despite common economic advantages, our two nations have evolved in different industry sectors. While garments and agricultural products are exported from Bangladesh, Indian exports include automotives and pharmaceuticals. Indian investors should take advantage of our competent labor cost and closer proximity to Northeast markets. To this end, several Indian mega companies like Hero Motor Corporation, Tata Motors, Marico, Imami, Dabur, Asian Paints, Godrej, they have set up such projects in Bangladesh. We may also delve into joint venture partnership in important sectors such as agro-processing, automobiles, ceramics, chemicals, light engineering, ICT, hospital and medical equipment, pharmaceuticals, tourism, and textile sectors. Connectivity offers a game-changing opportunity for India and Bangladesh, which would bring about unprecedented benefit for us as well as for the region. There are 34 functional land customs stations and 2 integrated checkposts on the India-Bangladesh border through which movement of cargo by roads takes place. 2 ICPs with state-of-the-art infrastructure for movement of cargo are at Agartala and Petrapol. Around 37% India's trade with Bangladesh passes through the Petrapol-Benapol land border. The inland waterways between India and Bangladesh can also be used for movement of cargo. This is facilitated under the Protocol on Inland Waterways Trade and Transit, PIWTT, which allows movement of goods over barges or vessels through the river systems of Bangladesh on 8 specific routes between India and Bangladesh. The PIWTT also allows for transshipment of goods to India's northeastern routes through the Ashuganj River Port in Bangladesh and from there to Akhaura, Agartala by road. India and Bangladesh have a coastal shipping agreement signed in June 2015. This allows for direct sea movement of bulk cargo between the two countries. It has the potential to decongest roads and land customs stations through which most of the trade is taking place now. Agreement on the use of Chittagong and Mongla ports for transfer of goods to and from India was signed in October 2018. The agreement is expected to be operationalized soon. The bus services on Kolkata, Dhaka, Agartala, Dhaka, Kolkata, Agartala, Guwahati, Shillong, Dhaka, and Kolkata, Khulna routes are operational. The pre-1965 railway links between the two countries are also being revived. 4 of the erstwhile 6 rail links are already operational. The remaining 2 links are also under consideration for revival. A new rail link between Akhaura and Agartala is being developed to connect Tripura and Bangladesh. The Chilahati-Holdibari rail link was re-established on 27 March 2021, paving the way of greater connectivity with Nepal and Bhutan. Moreover, this route can facilitate both-way traffic to and from our Mongla port. A new bridge called Maitri Setu on Feni River was inaugurated on 9 March 2021, connecting Bangladesh and Tripura. Tripura will now become the gateway of Northeast with access to Chittagong port of Bangladesh, which is just 80 km from Sabroom. There are presently around 100 flights operating weekly between India and Bangladesh, connecting various Indian cities like New Delhi, Kolkata, Mumbai, and Chennai to Dhaka and Chittagong. India and Bangladesh are also signatories to the BBIN Motor Vehicles Agreement. A trial run for passenger service on the Dhaka-Shiliguri Nepal route was also conducted in April 2018. The two countries also have an MOU to run cruise and passenger services on routes covered under the Protocol on Inland Water Trade and Transit and the Coastal Shipping Agreement. Thus, Bangladesh-India bilateral ties can act as a catalyst for strengthening regional and sub-regional cooperation and integration like BBIN, BIMSTEC, and ASEAN. All these connectivity projects will facilitate the exploration of more opportunities through trade and investment. I'll conclude by telling that most of the growing economies like US and China have undertaken their primary trade and investment projects in their neighboring countries. Similarly, India can also play a vital role in furthering our economic prospects. It is the geographical reality that Bangladesh and India are neighbors and acknowledge the role of each other for their own developmental activities. This year, we are celebrating the birth centenary of our father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. We are also celebrating the golden jubilee of the independence of Bangladesh, as well as the 50 years anniversary of the diplomatic relations between Bangladesh and India. Therefore, we should heavily explore all the opportunities and possibilities available in these long-standing friendly bilateral relations for our own national interest as well as for the region as a whole. With this, I would like to conclude here. Thank you.
Tawfiq Hassan Saab, thank you. I think the kind of engagement both the countries had is tremendous, and the future really looks bright with the connectivity improving and Bangladesh, India, and especially West Bengal and Northeast becoming the hub for the activity. I feel happy now to request our chief guest, Janab Firad Hakim Sahab, to please address us. Over to you, sir.
The Deputy High Commissioner of Bangladesh, Tawfiq Hassan, is here. Mr. Dey has explained us elaborately about the prospects. And I thank Indian Chamber of Commerce for arranging this summit of India-Bangladesh Logistic and Industrial Summit 2021. I'll not elaborate my speech or anything like that, but I will only have few points to say. As all of us know that the Bangladesh and India has a strong cultural, social, and economic tie. The two countries are united in history and common heritage, linguistic, cultural ties are there. We have many similarities in Bangladesh, especially in West Bengal. We have many similarities with Bangladesh, and Bangladesh is always near to our heart. And as all of us know that the national anthem of Bangladesh and as well as of India is written by our great poet, Kavi Guru Rabindranath Tagore. So we have that song also, Eki Akash, Eki Batar. So we feel comfortable if really a logistic tie, the business grows together. Because India helped on creation of Bangladesh so that at neighbor we can live together peacefully with harmony and friendship. We can grow together and we can have a happy neighborhood. And that we are playing a great role nowadays. Lately, come to our state under the leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. The state is doing towards creation of business, enterprise, job in the state. Besides the sweet relation between the two Didis, that is Mamata Banerjee and our Hasina Didi, has always brought two countries near. The broad customer base, rich mineral resources, large talent pools, state government's pro-industrial policies helping the state as a leading state to drive next phases of industrialization in the country. The West Bengal has always acted as a catalyst for Indo-Pacific outreaches. The key to West Bengal specific in the geography, being the strategically posted for the bilateral trade with Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, and ready access to Southeast Asian countries over the above to domestic market. West Bengal can serve the border market catering approximately total of 300 million customers for its product. I would like to say that, yes, we have bonded with this type of relations. And if we really look forward, we are creating more and more logistic facilities in West Bengal. And we have already, for the logistic, we have the industrial status is there for the logistic hubs in West Bengal. So more and more, if the logistic hub and the infrastructure is ready to do the business with Bangladesh and with the other neighbors of the Northeast. So we are ready to do, and I request the Indian Chamber of Commerce so that these type of, not only for our summit, but we have to come up with the reality. As far as the waterway transport is concerned, we are ready with that also. We have a great we are having facilitating the river Ganga to have more and more water transportations for the passengers as well as for the goods from the river transportation. We are introducing Ro-Ro service for between Calcutta Port and Howrah, and that can be extended to any part of Bangladesh too. So these are the things that we are ready to do with, and we look forward that I think that this is the time when we are talking is coming summit. We will attend physically and see all of you and say hello to you all. But definitely we have to plan more and more and to come in action, because the recession, sitting in home, talking virtually, it's a boring thing, and I think that it is over. It will be over by the grace of God. So we have to come forward and do that and have a result in our hand. The main developing area of India will be our West Bengal, and we definitely look forward for that. Thank you to all of you, and definitely I repeat again that in the next summit we will meet physically and we will be there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I think we all know that you are a man of action. That is how you are feeling bored sitting in office. And on behalf of ICC, what I can assure you is that we would request state government maybe to set up a joint core group or a task force on India-Bangladesh logistics and investments. And ICC has all the key players who deal with the waterways, logistics, shipping, who have invested in Bangladesh, in India. And as you said that the conferences are fine, but ICC is happy to work with your team, maybe with a focused plan and with some outcomes in mind. With this, thank you, sir. With this, I request our co-chair, Mr. Ashish Agarwal, to please deliver vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I was certainly reinvigorated by Janab Firad Hakim's speech. Logistics is all about action. So welcome, everyone. And it's my privilege to deliver this closing vote of thanks at the end of this very engaging session. I extend my sincere thanks to our chief guest, Janab Firad Hakim, Honorable Minister, Department of Transport and Housing, Government of West Bengal, for being present here today to grace this occasion. I express my deepest appreciation to His Excellency Mr. Tawfiq Hassan, Deputy High Commissioner of Bangladesh and India, for sharing rich insights. And I also thank Mr. Chandana De, Head Operation and Business Development and Ports, Airports and Global Infrastructure, JLL India, for a very illuminating presentation. I would also thank the JLL Group for being the knowledge partner of the summit. I hope the session has been highly successful in exploring the potential of logistics sector in enhancing India and Bangladesh's economic and trade ties. I would like to highlight a few salient points. Indo-Bangladesh logistics has a direct bearing on the lives of 8% of the world's population. So Mr. Dey's calculation was about 45 crores. Mine is actually about 65 crores, because if you add up the populations of Bangladesh, West Bengal, Northeast India, Nepal, Myanmar, Bhutan, Bihar, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, and Odisha, you actually come to 65 crore people. And prior to 1947, the Bay of Bengal-centered value chain was a global powerhouse and in many ways, the key economic engine of the largest empire ever seen. It is said that geography is destiny, but I would like to propose that for us now, logistics will be our destiny. India and Bangladesh can create a huge supply chain for the entire globe in the apparel and textile sector and can aspire to become a top global market supplier. Endowed with perennial rivers, high rail density, and road networks in the east, India-Bangladesh region can create an inherent opportunity to develop an integrated multimodal logistics network across the value chain of logistics and help in reducing the cost of logistics. The revival and expansion of inland waterways and the upgradation of road links across national borders using multimodal networks will help in seamless cargo movement between India and Bangladesh. In the last decade, we have seen huge success in waterway connectivity. I would also like to propose that road connectivity in particular also needs a lot of attention. For example, from Calcutta to Mongla port, which is Bangladesh's second largest port, you'll be surprised to note it's only 200 kilometers by road. For such long, short distances, road is usually the cheapest mode. Though currently due to bottlenecks at the border for road transportation, the cost is 4 to 5 times of what it would be if you had to traverse the similar number of kilometers either within India or within Bangladesh. So road is also a very important mode that needs attention. For West Bengal to maximize the advantages of creating best-in-class logistics systems and leveraging the benefits offered by enhanced connectivity, warehouses and inland container depots, government policies and departments, capital investments, and capacity building will have to successfully come together to create an efficient integrated logistics network in the state. I want to end my speech again by thanking all delegates and respected panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I think we will compile a plan for West Bengal and submit to our Honorable Minister soon in terms of what we think we can do. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us. And with this, I thank all our guests, Janab Taufiq Hasan Saab and Mr. Dey. Let me also acknowledge that we have been joined by Dr. Pramesh from the Indian High Commission. Thank you for joining us and thank you for your support. We will now move on to the next session. I think we have a short video to play. Paramita, is that right?
Yes, we'll just play the video. Deepu, can you just start?
Let us play a short video and then we will start the next session.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Yes, sir, I'm running.
It's a short video which talks about the connectivity status vis-a-vis the ports, and we'll soon have the video with us. Yes. Debu, please play the sound also. Debu, do we have the sound also for this video? So I think the sound didn't work. So Mr. Agarwal, would you like to briefly mention about the video so that at least we all, yeah.
Sure. So we just wanted to show this because I think this is a shining example of all the good that has happened in connectivity between India and Bangladesh in the last 10 years. And the video that we showed is for another milestone in Indo-Bangladesh relationships. This is the Moitri Power Project. Moitri, for those who don't speak Bengali, means friendship. So it's a friendship power project between the Indian and Bangladesh governments. And it is being funded by the Indian government. It's a JV between NTPC on the Indian side and the Power Development Board of Bangladesh on the Bangladesh side. And the site of the project is just about 200 kilometers from Calcutta. And all the cargo for this project has gone by river route from Calcutta to Mongla port, or has gone from Chennai by ships to Mongla port. So in total, about 110 vessels has been handled. And it's almost 1 million freight tons of cargo over 30 months. Now, this type of logistics exercise could not even be imagined, I would say, 10 years ago. And it's testament to the connectivity improvement that such a record amount of project cargo could be shipped from India into Bangladesh. My only wish would have been that part of this could have gone by road. It would have been a huge saving to both countries if this 200-kilometer distance between Calcutta and Mongla could efficiently be covered by road instead of the current almost 1,400-kilometer journey by water. So that is one example I like to share that, road connectivity is also key between our countries.
Thank you. That's a great insight. We now move on to the next panel, and may I request Ms. Sureka Bihani to please take over and start the session.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. Thank you, Mr. Singh. Am I audible?
Yes, please. Thank you.
So, I'll not take much time because I think Abdul Saab has got a meeting to attend and he had given us a time cutoff. So I want to, just give a very brief. The whole idea about this session is to see how we can increase the multimodal transportation between India and Bangladesh, and what are the other avenues that we can work upon. And as ICC, part of the core committee on logistics and supply chain, we're just trying to figure out what are the initiatives we should be working as a team to take it to the government and start really working on these initiatives and get some traction on it. So I'll just quickly introduce the speakers. I have Janab Abdul Matloob Ahmad Sahab, President, India Bangladesh Chamber of Commerce. I have Captain Mohammad Abdul Wadud Tarafdar. He's member, Harbour and Marine, Mongla Port Authority. We have Mr. A.K. Mehra, Deputy Chairman, KOPT. We have Dr. Pramesh Basal, Second Secretary, High Commission of India and Bangladesh. We have Mr. Ashutosh Gautam, Member Technical and of IWAI. Mr. Ajit Kumar Singh, Director Operations Land Ports Authority of India. We have Mr. Surya Narayan Lenka, Head of Tata Steel Logistics Management and Container Service. And of course, our own Mr. Ashish Agarwal, who is the co-chair of the Indian Chamber of Commerce. So starting, sir, my first question to Matloob Saab, sir, Bangladesh has been one of the world's fastest growing economies, in the last decade, driven by its ready-made garment sector and agriculture sector. To self-sustainable economy, the country is focusing developments of major infrastructures and facilities. So I have two questions which I wanted to focus on this is which are the other sectors having special emphasis from the Bangladesh government, from the government perspective, you wanted to do, we just wanted to know that, and how existing Indo-Bangladesh trade relationship would act as a catalyst in growth of Bangladesh. Sir, I think you're on mute.
All right. Thank you, Sureka. Thank you very much for giving me the floor. It has been very interesting session. Normally ICC holds such session. I remember inviting the Prime Minister of Bangladesh in one of the sessions in Kolkata. It was a very successful thing. Today, you have asked me two questions. What are the two big segments that the Bangladesh is looking for in future? Other than garments, we are actually looking for uh, mostly products that we can export outside Bangladesh. And that includes a lot of things, starting from jute, starting from leather. So we have a list of 10 items that needs to be exported. And of course, my or our interest should be how to utilize the Indo-Bangla position. And we have been working on the connectivities. After a pretty long time, I find that today both the governments have committed to bettering the situation. Uh, Janab Firad Hakim and also our Deputy High Commissioner Tawfiq Hassan have committed both the government that whatever ICC is doing now, they would like to support it. ICC had done lots, especially on connectivity with the Northeast. If you now really look at it, West Bengal is the gateway to Bangladesh. And through Bangladesh, we are gateway to Northeast and gateway to Myanmar, so far as India is concerned. So it's a triple effect if we can make this logistic perfect. We've gone a big way, like we have done a lot of ships coming in from Kolkata to Bangladesh, etc., etc. But hardly there are any cargoes from Bangladesh to India, this side, West Bengal. That is the heart of the problem. And that is why we need Northeast. We need some sort of a hub in Ashuganj or in Naranganj or in even Mongla, where the goods come from the Northeast to those parts and then ferried back to the mainland India. Mainly why I'm telling this is if you look at our imports of Tata Motors or Hero motorcycles, like in vehicles, we have 20,000 vehicles. As a industry, we should have around 30,000 vehicles, all India product included. That means 30,000 trucks are parked in Benapur. That's a huge stress on Benapur, which should be routed now, whether CBU or CKD, through regular shipments to Mongla. And I'm very glad that they're talking about Ro-Ro vehicles. So CBU also can come to the Mongla port. But the problem is, if it's a break bulk, there's no regular shipments to Mongla. We should declare regular shipments. Only then we can ask in my LC, CNF, Mongla. We are not being able to do that nowadays. So if we have, it's like a chicken and egg case. We already have the rivers. We have the infrastructure, but we don't have the business scheme yet. This is where ICC now needs to look at more. So in short, what I would like to tell you is both the governments are very friendly, much friendlier than 20 years back in 90s when we tried to do all this. There was always some restriction from Delhi, but nowadays Delhi is supporting us to do all that. So what I would like to conclude is that ICC must now hold sessions not on the infrastructure or not on the routes, but on the people who will use these routes and how to make it a two-way. So a lot of Indian goods need to go to the Northeast. It can go via that hub and they could drop Bangladeshi goods there and go up to Northeast and then bring Northeast goods straight to India if there's no exports from Bangladesh. My suggestion to the ICC would be to work on this thing because I was working on the Pangaon port. I could see containers coming in from Kolkata, but containers going empty. Now, when you have one way empty, the cost doubles. So the business people don't want to have it. So either you subsidize and lose money, and there's no meaning of such connectivities if you lose money. So my suggestion to ICC is the right time now. Please speak on the utilization of cargo on both sides. We have enough ports. New ports has also been declared, and now a lot of other things for bulk cargoes are being discussed. But regular shipment of break bulk ships between the two nations has to be declared now. Thank you, Rajiv Singh sir. Thank you, Surekha. Thank you all. Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you, sir. Khuda Hafiz, sir. My next question, I would want to request Captain Mohammed Tarafdar to go for it from Mongla Port. So, port typically is a gateway and is a gateway for a country. And Bangladesh, I hope we have him in the call now.
Yes.
Yes, sure.
Yes.
So I'm unable to see him. So I just thought I'll just check once. And Bangladesh coastline is strategically located in key shipping line of the world. Under these circumstances, we've observed key initiative taken by the government of Bangladesh to augment and expand its port destination. There are many SEZs which have come up on PPP models in these two major ports, mainly Chittagong and Mongla. So our question is that what are the key initiatives taken by the government of Bangladesh for enhancing port and port-led developments, and how port-linked SEZs and manufacturing are performing? Third is, what are the key highlights on land allotment policies, land pricing, industry category behind the success of the port? Sir, I would also like to mention that when you mentioned this, there are many Indian companies who, MNCs operating out of India or Indian typically led companies who are wanting to set up manufacturing base in Bangladesh. So if you could highlight, taking a broad perspective of the overall scheme of things, it will be very helpful, sir.
Thank you very much. May I get a permission to share my presentation, because I have already prepared presentation, and I believe if I present that, that will answer both the question.
But, sir, I think you should please do it. You don't need the permission, sir.
No, because here I am not getting the
I think
link,
the host has to
content
give.
Link.
Yes, sir. I am making, sir. By
Yeah,
sir. Yes, just
they have to make you the host, sir.
Yes, sir. You wrong, sir. Your presentation, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Now I get the link.
Welcome, sir.
I think everyone can see my screen.
Yes, please.
Okay. So first of all, the Honorable Chairman of the Summit, respected moderator, learned panelists, and other distinguished participants, a very good afternoon. So before I begin, I just like to introduce myself. I am a Navy captain and working for the Mongla Port Authority on deputation. So today I shall represent Mongla Port Authority for this panel discussion. And I'm really fortunate to get this opportunity to represent my port in this August gathering. In fact, the question was asked to me. I was eagerly waiting to present myself on the same issue. So my discussion will be focused on promoting bilateral trade based on Mongla Port and other infrastructures surrounding this port. And I expect not to take more than 5 minutes or so to complete my delegation, that I'll open for an open discussion. So before let me give you a few highlights of the Mongla Port. The Mongla Port Authority, in short called, is the MPA, and this is the second largest port of our country, and it is the major port which is on the western side of our country. This port serves not only our country, that is the western half, as well as some part of the West Bengal. So this port is around 131 kilometers inside the mainland, and that is how it is well protected from the natural disaster like cyclone. And the Mongla EPJ at the export processing zone, one of the major export processing zone, which is just co-located. That was the first question, that regarding the port, based on the port, how the government is planning. In fact, this export processing zone has been established close to the port or co-located to the port, just to promote the port activity on the western region, not only serving to the other countries, but also to serving to the neighboring countries like Bhutan, Nepal, and India, especially those who are connected through the river and as well as by road and the railways. So this port has got good facilities, and it has got the ILA compliant channel, and it has got at present 6 jetties, and it has got 30 anchorages and 2 mooring. So a huge number, and never ever we get more than 50% of our total capacity. So a number of initiative has been taken by our present Prime Minister since she sat on the power in 2009. And just at the moment, I'll just highlight few of the upgradation project that takes us to a higher state. First of all, a container jetty, 2 container jetty is being constructed, and they'll be added to the port activity by next June, I mean June 2022. About the navigability of the channel, that was a huge issue since the creation of the port in 1950. And we have taken 2 major capital dredging projects. One of the capital dredging project has already been completed in last December, and another capital dredging progress already is going on, and which is scheduled to be finished by next June, that is 2022. And once these 2 capital dredging is over, so ships over 9-meter draft, around 9.5 or 9.6, will be able to come alongside jetty. And mostly, if you can mark the feeder vessel that is running in this region, whether it is from Singapore or from the other major port in this region, mostly they are having a draft of 9-meter to 9.5 meter. About the cargo handling, we are having sufficient equipment to handling the cargo. However, we have procured 75 new equipment to handle the cargo most efficiently and smartly. We have a good number of support vessels, and more 6 new support vessels are being added by the end of this year. So if we talk about the cross-border transportation or multimodal transportation, we have all the ways linked up. First, going to the waterways, that has already been discussed by other speakers before me, that Mongla Port or this region is connected to the Kolkata, Haldia, and the Dulian, Pandu, and there are many other links through this port. And already it has been discussed by our Deputy High Commissioner and the other speaker. There's the number of vessels are running between 2 countries, that is on protocol, on inland water transit, and the trade. About the road connectivity, we have a direct road connectivity through Benapul and Bhomra, but you know, naturally there is a bottleneck in the Benapul port due to the high congestion of the traffic. About the railway connectivity, at this moment from Khulna, the railway is connected, and we have a inland cargo jetties in the Khulna city, from where we also handle cargo through the railways. And we are expecting Mongla to be connected to this country's railway network by end of this year. If you look about the cargo handling, that has already been mentioned by Mr. Abdul Matlib Ahmed, that the vessel running on the protocol. So just a picture, if we see in the last financial year, 2019 and 2020, about 2.78 million tons of cargo has been transported. And these cargoes were mainly fly ash, gypsum, clinker, steel iron, coal, and the food grain. But unfortunately, the majority of these countries were inter-country and one-sided trade that is running from India to Bangladesh. But hardly any cargo went from Bangladesh to India or to Bhutan or to Nepal. So that is how the transportation cost generally is higher. So if we can bring this to a 2-sided transportation, it will ease out the transportation cost, as well as it will facilitate the transportation of cargo between the 2 countries. If we talk about the trade on the EPZ products, in the Mongla EPZ especially that I was mentioning, we have 2 major industry, Indian industry in our EPZ. One is the VIP bag. I hope all of you are familiar with the VIP bags. They have 7 plant in our Mongla EPZ, and their monthly production is 500 TEUs, and they bring the raw materials from China and other countries through our port, and the finished products are exported to India by road through the Benapole. And as I already mentioned, that there is a bottleneck in Benapole, and that is why they are interested to use the waterways. At this moment, the vessels plying between Bangladesh and India using the waterways, they are carrying mostly the cargo. But to carry the finished product of the VIP bag, they needs the container ship. But they are not getting container ship because from the other side, nothing is coming through the container. About the edible oil refinery, we have a edible oil refinery plant that is owned by the Indian businessman in our Mongla EPZ. Their raw products are imported from different sources through the Mongla port and as well as sometimes through the Chittagong Port Authority. This refined oil exported to the eastern part of the India by road. Their yearly production is generally 50,000 to 60,000 metric tons, but due to COVID, at this moment, their production is reduced to 25 to 30,000 metric tons. But the same product can be exported to the West Bengal as well, as we have the facility, and so this can be exported. About the manufacturing and opportunities in the port and the hinterland, that was the second question to me. So I will say that Mongla EPZ is co-located with the Mongla Port Authority just to facilitate the cargo in this region so that the raw materials can come easily from any countries of the world, can be processed in the export processing zone and be transported to the final destination using the waterways as well as the port facility. About the industrial plots in the Mongla EPZ, they are given on very easy terms and charges. I can say that this is one of the cheapest rate to get the industrial plot. Even we are advertising to bring more investor in this export processing zone. If we go out of the export processing zone, the public lands are also cheaper in any part of our country with adequate electricity facility. Previously, we have been discussing about the Moitri power plant that is being built close to our port, only 5.5 kilometers. And when this plant will go in production, and we are expecting by end of this year, the plant will go for production. So we will have a huge power capacity in the western sector of our country, which can meet the requirement of all the industries of this region of the country. And talking about the multimodal transportation means, we can transport cargo from and by any means, railways, waterways, or roadways. There is no limitation with that. And probably this will be the closest trade oblique industrial hub for our friends on the western part of our country. About the trade opportunities and the challenges, we have a number of opportunities to explore. First of all, we are connected to the India, Bhutan, and Nepal through the river. Out of 57 rivers of Bangladesh, 53 rivers originated from India and came to our country. The waterways, that is the cheapest means, as we always know, and a bulk amount of cargo can be carried at the same time. Custom clearance, bilateral checkpoints, these are already in practice. We need not to do anything. Just we can utilize the facility. And the Mongla Port Authority is ready for the BBIN initiative. And that is how we have been working since 2013. And we are ready for taking any challenges. Mongla Port Authority is the closest major port for West Bengal, Bhutan, as well as the Nepal. This port provides multimodal transportation, as I always say, and it also imposes the cheapest port dues. Even compared to our other port, that is the Chittagong port, we have just a 1/3 port dues, just 1/3 of even the port dues that is charging the Chittagong Port Authority. That is how we try to promote the business from this port. If I talk about the challenges, the first one will be the implementation of the line of credit program. A number of program has been initiated on the line of credit between Bangladeshi government and the Indian government. These projects need to be completed in time. At present, the railway lines is being constructed between the Khulna and the Mongla. That is under line of credit. It is supposed to be finished by end of this year, but for a number of reasons, the work is being delayed. and hopefully it will be finished next year. And also there is a upgradation project with the Mongla Port Authority, and that has not yet started. So probably this line of credit program or the upgradation program needs to be completed in time. And the second challenges will be the coordinating with the related organizations that we are interested. We need to bring the concerned personnel in our triangle, and then we have to work. And last but not the least, we have to change our mindset that how we want to go about improving the bilateral trade in this western region of our country. So that's all. I think I'm at the end. And if you have any queries, I can go about that.
Thank you, sir. It's been a real eye-opener. I think there's a lot of insight which was there in this presentation. It was worth spending this time. And sir, I think there are many people who are there as guests in this session who are hearing what you're saying. It will be a big boost to them to understand, going into Bangladesh is not as difficult as many challenges are getting seen from the outside world. So, we've been talking a lot on this inland waterways. Paromita has Mr. Gautam joined us because I think he said that he would be.
Ma'am, he'll be just joining in 5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, so then, Mr. Mehra, the question to you, sir. Yeah, a question to you, sir. Kolkata port is the nearest port connections to Bangladesh, and as the India-Bangladesh protocol route it's one of the key initiative, it's one of the most important port, I would say, in the whole initiative of Bangladesh and, India relationship. In this context, can you let us know on this, all of us who are here, some of the key highlights from Government of India initiatives for enhancement of efficiency in trade between India and Bangladesh under Kolkata Port Trust jurisdiction.
Thank you, Madam Bihani. This is my pleasure to speak on this August gathering. Whatever your question, I can answer through my presentation. If you can kindly allow me to share my presentation. So it will answer many of the things, including our position of our port and facilities available and how we are marketing our port for the Indo-Bangladesh protocol route and how cargo are started moving. Kindly allow me to share my presentation.
Sure. ICC team, can you please make him?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You run your presentation, sir. Yeah.
Is it visible?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Yes, sir.
Just a minute. Okay. Thank you very much to ICC for inviting me on this August gathering to present what is available in our port, which is the closest to our friendly country, Bangladesh, and how we in Calcutta port, of course, the name of the port has been changed last year. It is now Samaprasad Mukherjee Port. So how we are poised for the bilateral trade through inland waterways connecting this port. I will give a brief presentation about our port. This port is the first major port in the country in India. Just a minute. Yeah. The Samaprasad Mukherjee Port, erstwhile we used to call it Kolkata Port Trust or KOPT. This is the first major port of India, established in 1870 recently. In the last year, we have celebrated 150 years. Our port is an inland port and the river port, and we are situated, this Calcutta is situated about 232 kilometers inside, and Haldia is situated about 75 to 80 kilometers inside the river. This is an all-weather port, and this is the only port connected through rail, road, and inland waterways. And we are the terminal port with attractive dry docking facilities. And cargo handling capacity of this port, both Calcutta as well as Haldia taken together as on today is 100 million ton, out of which Haldia capacity is 75 million ton and Calcutta is 25. If we see about the cargo handling figures for the last 7 years, you will see in 2014-15 it was 46.3 million ton. Now We have grown up to 64 in 1920. However, because of the pandemic, there was some slowing down. So last year we have featured 61 million ton. However, this year in the first quarter, which is ending today, our cargo handling in the corresponding period of the year is more than 20% above than the last year. The container traffic is actually our key traffic through Calcutta. I mean, talking about the KDS, the Kolkata dock system, and our total cargo container handling has grown from 14-15. It was 6.3 lakh TEUs to 8.48 lakh TEUs. Last year, again, due to this pandemic, it has come down. But this year also, at this moment, we are growing more than 22% in the container. And by the way, this Calcutta port as a whole, taking Calcutta and Haldia together, we are the third among the major ports, and second being Chennai. Now I'm coming to the specifics about the connectivity with Calcutta port, with the Bangladesh, and how we are poised. And you see this historically, the major partner in handling trade of Bangladesh is India. In 2021, we have handled about 32 lakhs, that is 3.2 million tons of Bangladesh cargo, including 1,507 TEUs of container, highest among major ports. Strengthened by the India-Bangladesh Protocol Treaty, Bangladesh cargo and vessel charges are subsidized by 40%. Whatever our schedule of charges, we are giving 40% rebate and granted coastal benefits. Though this is EXIM cargo, however, we treat as a coastal benefits, and as per the Government of India policy, all coastal cargo related charges as well as vessel are getting 40% rebate. So these facilities are also extended to all the vessels as well as cargo going to Bangladesh or coming. All have their establishment in Kolkata to cater to their needs. Now, current traffic, mostly it is fly ash. It's about 2 to Bangladesh for their various cement plants. In Kolkata dock system, there are 4 Bangladesh container vessels, which is selling every month. That means a fixed window service is already developed between Calcutta dock system and various ports in our neighboring country, Bangladesh. Last year, we have handled about more than 15,700 TEUs, which is, if we compare to 3 years before, it was grown 4 times in a period of 3 years. In 2021, our port became the hub of rice exports to the Bangladesh. Last financial year, these rice exports actually started from the month of October, and we have handled 2.2 lakh tons. This year, by this time, we have already handled 2.5 lakh tons shipments, and our target volume in this particular year is 2021-22 is 4 lakh tons. Apart from rice, maize, stone chips, sponge iron, project cargo or other new cargo has moved to waterways through the Bangladesh. The facilitation that we are providing to the Bangladesh is for all I already told, a rebate of 40% on composite box rate on the container and vessel related charges. In our Khidirpur dock, we have declared as hub for Bangladesh and IWT cargo. That means these berths are getting priority berthing for Bangladesh bound ships. We are providing 20 days storage free time for any rail bound container export and 15 days storage free time for road bound container exports. That means container which is coming for export through road, it will get 15 days storage free time, and those who are coming by rail rake to our port, 20 days storage free time, and 6 days free time for break bulk cargo like steel. And we have got dedicated storage and destuffing space for containers. Now we can give, there are very, very recent developments in those protocol road cargo movement. The very recent one is the first ever Indian coal export started on 28th June. That means only 2 days before. This coal is sourced from Dhanbad area and will be exported to Rampal power station, which is set up by India, Bangladesh India Friendship Power Company, which many of the speakers have already highlighted. We expect that about 20,000 tons of Indian coal will be sourced from through this port to Bangladesh per month for this Rampal power station. This is one avenue we have started. And I can also highlight that first train of 40 feet 40 numbers of 40 feet containers arrived from ICD Chaupawal, which is in the Ludhiana, that is in the western part of our country in Punjab. This Ludhiana to KDS moved to through KDS, it has moved to Chittagong by MB Naukolan 2 on 29th June 2021. These containers carrying variety of cargo from cotton yarn to auto parts. Earlier, these cargo are being moved through JNPT Mundra and transshipped at either Colombo or Singapore and going to the Bangladesh. And in the process, more than 12 days they are requiring. Now they will be saving more than 12 days of charter cost of the vessel. Now we can understand the extent of benefit that both the countries will get. Now this rail route has already started, and most important is that in this rail route, major industrial hubs are being connected like Kanpur. So any Bangladeshi exporters who have got some connections, some want to send their cargo through Kanpur area, that is in the north, Uttar Pradesh, or some exporters from our Kanpur area, they can also avail the facility of this train services, rake services. And going started in association with Marks Line. So Marks is the biggest container line in the world. So there will be a dedicated and there will be fixed service. So the exporters, importers will be assured of their services in time. And project cargo export to Rampal Power Station is set to commence very shortly. Our Honorable Union Minister of State for Shipping, Sri Mansukh Mandaviya, in July 2020, that means 1 year back, flagged off the first trial container ship from Kolkata to Agartala through Chittagong port of Bangladesh in a virtual ceremony. The photograph you can see. This was done under the agreement on use of Chattogram and Mongla ports for movement of India's transit cargo. The route will provide alternate and shorter route to connect Northeast region through Bangladesh. The regular movement we are expecting to start shortly after formalization of the proper SOP for movement through the Bangladesh soil. India and Bangladesh have enhanced cooperation in shipping and inland water trade in recent years under protocol on India water and transit trade, in addition to the 6 existing ports of call. More in each country have been added recently. Now, dredging in the inland waterway routes in the ongoing as an MOU signed between the two countries for development of Bangladesh fairways, and cruise services are also commenced between the two countries. So this is all from my side, highlighting what are the new facilities we have created for Bangladesh movement, apart from whatever we are already providing, that is fly ash and some other cargo is moving for quite some time. Now, our western part of our country is also getting connected through dedicated service from ICD Ludhiana. Another service we have started from ICD Siliguri to Calcutta port, which is connecting mostly from Bihar and even for Nepal also. If they want to send through this water route, we are also connected. Basically, this is for the export cargo, but if some importers of Bangladesh can utilize, these facilities are also started very recently. So this is all from my side, and just a minute. So, yeah. This is all from my side for the time being, and if any queries and observations, I am here to reply.
So I just think I'll just take a question with you. There's someone from the by the name of Mr. Mishra who's come up with a question that they are I'm taking the questions in between because I don't think so we'll have time at the later end. He said he wants to export LCL and FTL of food items, but he's not getting economical ways of doing it because it seems there's some very high cost duty which is coming in it. So maybe can you just throw a light on it? 1 minute, 2 minutes, then we just progress further.
We are providing the service. I already told this Bangladesh cargo and vessel-related charges. We are already providing 40% discount on that. And if their question is regarding the duty, I think our customs counterpart will be able to tell about the duty.
Yeah.
Which is not my cup of tea.
Yeah. I think, Mr. Mishra, you should be using the waterways now, as co-chair Ashish had already said. That's one of the most easiest way of transporting now. I think Mr. Gautam has joined. So, Mr. Gautam, we wanted to take this question. There's been a lot of discussion with the growth of Indo-Bangladesh trade, waterways playing a big role in the Indo-Bangladesh waterway trades. So, just wanted to know your. I again can't see him. Paramita, has he joined? I'm so sorry.
Yes, he has joined.
Okay, okay. Thanks, Mr. Singh. So, Mr. Ashutosh Gautam, we've been discussing a lot on inland waterways in your absence, but still we would like to hear on view on, how inland water transport system can facilitate Indo-Bangladesh trade practice with more cost effectiveness, and what are the future plan of action for IWAI in coming days to augment existing capacities of waterways route in and around the connecting points at Bangladesh, sir? Yeah, he's there.
I think we can go to the next one.
Next question. Yeah, I think we'll just, because in shortage of time, we are already running late. So, going down to Mr. Ajit Singh, there is a lot of ICPs which has been constructed, in the, replacing the traditional LCS routes, which were earlier there. If you can throw light on how many ICPs has been operational, and how many are more under construction, and for using, and how we can use this for the future prospects, how do you think we can use this to better our road facilities, the kind of cloud, the problem which is happening today at Petropol or Benapol, the problems which is happening with road transportation, what value addition can these ICPs do? Mr. Singh, Ajit Kumar Singh. I'm sorry, I don't think so. I see him, Rajiv sir.
Here I saw him, but
yeah,
he's not there now. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe in the meantime, we can go to the next one. I think
Yeah,
Paramita and team will
yes,
speak to them and find out. Maybe request them to just maybe
Yeah,
log in
Mr.
again.
Gautam, have you joined again? I just saw you.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I have is it all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. In fact, I'm very sorry that I could not join in time. And there was a video conference in progress with Government of Assam. And we were a little bit delayed in getting it sorted out. Our chairperson and Chief Secretary, Government of Assam, along with the Industrial Secretary, Government of Assam, and NHIDCL chairperson and MD, they were there. So, but somehow there was some technical glitch also to get myself connected with this. However, I basically convey my best wishes and regards to the conference or the webinar which is going on. And in fact, on calling of my PS, I came from another room where the meeting was going on, because this technical session was in progress up to 4:15 only. And we somehow organized, we were scheduled having another meeting. So since he was calling me, so I just came and just say hello to all of you. And
That's very kind of you, sir.
In case you permit me, because in that meeting also something important is going on.
Yes,
and,
sir. Please, sir. No problem at all.
So I take your permission to leave, and in case anything from my side is required, or any assistance if I can extend or do, it will be my pleasure.
Sure, sir. Sure. As ICC, we'll get back to you, sir, on whatever information we need on that matter, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
So, sir, now I wanted to speak to Dr. Pramesh Basal, High Commission of India in Bangladesh. Sir, you're there?
Yes,
I'm
he is
here,
there.
please.
Yeah. So, Mr. Dr. Basal, since it's such a big growing growing nation in the Southeast region, we have many logistics and industrial developers from India wanting to explore similar opportunities in Bangladesh. So, wanted to know your thoughts on, how, that can be streamlined, and what are the key regulation highlights from a compliance perspective that we should be looking at, on this investments? And also, if apart from logistics, what are the other sectors which can grow there? Maybe a hospital, or maybe the alternative sectors like hospitals, schools, or maybe retail. So just wanted an overall view from you on that matter, sir.
Thank you, first of all, for inviting me to this very timely initiative and very knowledgeable webinar. And I've heard the previous speakers also, and everyone has covered in detail different aspects of connectivity. Uh, by by my job at the commercial as a commercial representative, I have been in fact connected to most of the initiatives which they have they have discussed earlier. So like Mr. Mehra from the Kolkata Port Trust, he was mentioning about the rice exports. So it's true that the rice exports in the last few months has increased, and the exporters and importers were interested in bringing goods from Kolkata Port Trust, from the Kolkata, because it's much easier. And as Captain uh, Captain Abdul Wadud sir, he was mentioning earlier. So but so most of the cargo coming from sorry, I was just getting a call from somewhere. So as most of the cargo, which is the coal cargo, it's coming from, it's just only one way. So we have been promoting, and we understand that right now Bangladeshi vessels go to India, they pick up the coal fly ash and they come back. So this fly ash is used in the cement plants in Bangladesh, and the final product goes back again to the northeastern states of India, like in Tripura or someplace. So it's basically, it's kind of a, like, it's a cycle. So raw materials coming from India to Bangladesh, getting manufactured, going back again to the northeastern parts of India. So similarly, we can look for the just give me a second. Just I'm so sorry, but I'll have to. No, bye. So, so a lot of connectivity initiatives like agreement on the Chattogram Mongla port is there. We have done the trial run with the help of Kolkata Port Trust. On the IWAI, we have signed the second addendum to PIWTT. So we have added more routes. And on the railway side, it is one of the very good successful story in the last year because of the COVID pandemic. The transport initially through the land ports got a bit bit challenged due to the COVID pandemic. But we have the one of the key success stories, if I would say, between India and Bangladesh is in the last 1 year, So we have kept our supply chains open. So like, goods are coming from India, going from, and so on the western part between West Bengal and Bangladesh, goods are coming through railways, as well as the goods are going through road from the eastern part of Bangladesh to our northeastern states like in Tripura, Meghalaya, Assam. So it's actually a remarkable figure. And if we see the trade figures with Bangladesh in the last financial year, it has not come down. Even Bangladesh has crossed in its export to India by 1 billion mark. It's third time in the row, and Indian exports have also increased to they have maintained their normal level, and in fact they have increased bit to Bangladesh. So things are good. And as a High Commission, if you ask my suggestions on this would be, we need more of our Indian companies to uh, in the sense come and so there are few companies like TCIL and others who are working on this, but we have to look into the holistic manner how we can move goods seamlessly and easily, and and a little information about these new modalities should be widely spread amongst the business community. So one good example is Pran Industries from Bangladesh. So they were not aware, but then they recently explored sending goods through PIWTT routes to India through a vessel, a barge, and they find it quite economical and quite useful. So they are thinking of moving a lot of goods from roads transport to PIWTT routes. So through ICC and through my Bangladeshi friends and counterparts also, I would like them to we need to spread this word that the business community, they should be aware of these options. Like under the coastal shipping agreement, vessels can go directly between Indian ports. There are defined ports, Indian ports and the Bangladeshi ports. And as my colleague from Kolkata Port Trust was saying, the cost and freight is so much lesser, and there's a restriction of some 6,000 metric tons, 6,000 metric tons of vessel size, because it also includes riverine routes, but it provides a good opportunity to move container vessels between to and fro between Bangladesh and India. And on the last note, I would like to quote one of the World Bank study which was recently done, and which says with the seamless connectivity between India and Bangladesh, so the trade right now, it's below the potential. We have still much more to do, and if we provide seamless connectivity on which both the governments have been working for the quite some time now, and we have been able to start seeing the results now. So the Bangladesh exports to India will increase by 297%, and likewise Indian export to Bangladesh will increase by 172%. So all these connectivity options, they provide us they will lead to the growth of the whole region as a whole. So with this, I would like to end. And if any questions regarding anything, you can always ask your members to reach out to us. We have a very good connection with all the chambers and ICC, of course. And if we could be of any help in any information, just let us know. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Basil. Mr. Ajit Singh, I think you've joined the call. We can see you. If you can just tell us a hi, sir.
Hi, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening. We were missing you last time. I think you got disconnected somehow.
Yeah, I was there only. I think since 3 o'clock, I'm sitting here. I'm watching and listening everyone, and it's my pleasure to attending. This is the first interaction with the ICC and all. So,
thank you so much, sir. So we just wanted to know about the integrated check posts. The things that it's there's a lot of integrated ICPs which are getting done across all the sister states bordering India. And I think we've set up a couple of them across India-Bangladesh borders also. So just wanted your thoughts on how they would make the routes easier, how they'll be more efficient in the way they help the goods crossover and how it will be more easier for people traveling by roads, because we've been hearing a lot of concerns on road transportation between India and Bangladesh.
Thank you, ma'am. First of all, I'm just giving a brief about the LPA, the Land Ports Authority of India. Basically, it's a government agency responsible for coordinated function of various government agencies and other service providers. And it basically, what we do, we basically plan, develop, construct, maintain, management of all the integrated checkposts. That is our sole mandate. And we provide the state-of-the-art infrastructures to all the stakeholders. As regards to coming to the specific point of Indo-Bangladesh border, that is the international border on Indo-BD side. Currently, all along the Indo-Bangladesh border, we are having 4 functional ICPs. One is at Agartala, and one is Petropol. It's already everyone knows it's the biggest one. Sutarkandi, that is one ICP, that is in Assam. And another one we have just recently operated. It's operationalized in month of December 2020. That is at Srimantapur. It's in Agartala. That is in Tripura. And we are planning to open 8 ICPs all along the border, international border, all along India, Bangladesh. One is at Meghalaya, that is ICP Dauki. Sabroom, again in Tripura. For Puchia, one is in Mizoram. And Changrabanda, Madhipur, Fulbari, Gojadanga, and Hili. These 5 LCS we are upgrading it to the ICPs. They are all in West Bengal. So currently at Agartala and basically at Petropol, from Petropol, around 30% of the total Indo-Bangladesh trade takes place via ICPs. The most important ICPs on Indo-Bangladesh is Petropol, which is the largest land port in South Asia, and it accounts for 70% of bilateral land-based trade with Bangladesh. So now LPI is in the process of upgrading all such ICPs, and in the coming 1 or 2 years, we will be developing Dauki, which is in Meghalaya, and one is the busiest land custom station, and it will be certainly improve or enhance the trade between India and Bangladesh. Sabroom, I think we will be developing it within 2 to 3 years. Hopefully, everything has been done. And right from the Chattogram port, straightway coming to this crossing the ICPs and coming to hinterland. So it will be, I think, the most easiest trade route as regards to trade, and not even the trade, but the passenger is concerned. That will be the movement of passenger as well as cargo will take place. So at present, now at Petropol, we are seeing the movement of passengers also. We are facilitating the seamless movement of passengers as well as the cargo. And because if you have seen the surge of passenger movement at Petropol, I think 22 lakhs in 2019, 2020, it was a movement of either side. So we have constructing a state-of-the-art passenger terminal. It is going to be completed very soon, I think within a month or so. And it will be a great help. It will be a great facility for the country, especially for the Bangladesh, and it will be a state-of-the-art infrastructure. So as such, we are providing a lot of infrastructures, a lot of facilities, not for the cargos, but for the passenger movement too. And we'll be enhancing the trade, facilitating is a better word, facilitating trade, cross-border movement of passengers and trades.
So Ashish, something for you to look forward to.
Yeah, I would like to make a comment here, without saying anything disrespectful, Dr. Singh. My dream is that we don't have any checkposts. That, the last 10 years has been a time where India and Bangladesh friendship has really kind of flowered. And 10 years ago, the vision was that we would have a lot of infrastructure at the borders to enable movement of cargo. Today, I'm very happy to say I've used your land ports personally. I'm astounded by how efficient they are for passengers, because it takes 1 hour for somebody to immigrate from, to cross the immigration on both sides, on both India and Bangladesh sides. So much so that you can see at the borders, people from Bangladesh coming into India for the afternoon just to watch a movie and do some shopping and go back. Now, a scenario like that could not have been dreamt of, 10 years ago. So I think full kudos to the Land Ports Authority of India to enable that. But the flip side is that cargo can take up to 3 weeks to transit that exact same checkpoint. And not just time, there's multiple handlings. The cargo has to be offloaded from Indian trucks, then put onto a Bangladeshi truck, taken to the other side, again offloaded, custom clearance has to be done. It takes a very long time. So I dream of a day when that movement is at least as seamless as the passenger movement today, where that crossing of the border can be 1 hour. Already within India, I think we have made a huge sea change with the GST network by removing our internal borders. And I think a similar type of a mindset, if we keep for our Indo-Bangladesh road trade, to make it digital, to make it seamless, to make it risk-based assessments, I think that the figures that we were talking about earlier, about 200, 300% increases in bilateral trade, that really would be the way to make that happen.
So, Mr. Singh, with a request, that is something which we will be looking forward, and we'll be presenting as ICC to the LPAI, so for you to put it forward. So just, since we've already got a paucity of time, just rushing around, my last question, is to Mr. Surya Narayan Lenka. So, we've been hearing a lot of things about investment into Bangladesh. What do you see as a logistic person would be the challenges which, as an investor, they would see there, and the opportunities which can be leveraged there, followed by what in terms of the laws also do you think we would have to take care as an investor?
Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to listen to all the speakers who talked length and breadth about logistics as a subject. Before answering the question, I would like to a couple of items which is kind of a shippers community's wish list, because all of the speakers talked about the system, processes, etc. So I want to bring forth there are 3 things that we want as a shippers community. So first thing is efficiency, which we talked about. So we are losing a lot of time at the border in doing the transactions, in making the goods move from one part of the country to another part of the country through the physical changeover, handover, takeover, etc. So that is a very big pain point. Second point that I'm looking at is sustainable logistics options. So when we say that, we have got options of landside movement by road, we have got options of waterways movement by means of seaports, by means of inland waterways terminals and multimodal solutions that we talked about. I feel sustainable means of such modal options available is a need of the hour. So I will put an example. The earlier slide that we talked about was July 2020. We had the first shipment by containerization through inland, Indo-Bangladesh coastal route. So wherein we made our customer receive the cargo through, Chittagong port, and then doing a land transit to the ICP Akhora and Agartala border, and crossing that, and the trailer goes right to the destination of my customer premise. So after that shipment, we have kind of lost the track. Possibly we are not ready. We are not able to do the further shipments. So I think essence of the point that I'm making here is we need to develop these additional logistics modes, and it takes a lot of time to foolproofing it, because there are a lot of issues that a shipper face while we try to do something innovative of that kind. Third thing that I want to put forth here is digitization. When we talk about trade today, I think trade is by far the most digitizable in terms of documentation, in terms of trade, related processes. So one of the problem that we face today is, acceptance of a country of origin in physical form. So in a period like COVID, where we have migrated to a digitalized, COO, whereas at the border we are asked for physical copy with a stamp, with a signature. So that becomes really a deterrent to make trade work. So these are three broad points that I want to put across to the eminent people that we are present here, talking about the trade and facilitation from a $10 billion trade today to potentially the kind of number that WTO throws is very, very high. Both the countries can have that level of trade realization, both in terms of import into Bangladesh and export out of Bangladesh. So these were 3 points that I wanted to put forth, and I want some kind of support for the community, shippers and consignee community. Coming to your question, madam.
So your audio has your video and audio is having some disturbances.
Okay, could you make out the 3 points that I just put on behalf of
the 3 points we've got it, sir. Yeah. The 3 points I've got it down, sir. So just putting it across to Ashish. Last question to Ashish. Anything you want to add on to what Mr. Linka said? You've been doing
No,
a
I
lot
think
of work on that.
I can almost hear the pain in his voice as a user, and I think that even Mr. Matlub referred to this earlier, that
Yes, absolutely.
there are many experiments that we have done as two countries over the last 10 years. And there have been many experiments that were successful but were not repeated. So some of these experiments we need to revisit. I think also in some cases, a lot of infrastructure building was required before those experiments could be mainstreamed. Today, I frankly think that for many of the transport test cases, the most sustainable method is efficient road transport. Because say, for example, Mr. Matlub was saying that a whole vessel has to come back empty from Bangladesh. So vessel means you're talking a minimum 1,000 to 2,000 ton capacity for that vessel to be efficient. Whereas for road, you could have a unit size as low as 20 tons. So if we could really kind of figure out how to make the road transit happen smoothly, maybe it's a relay system, maybe only the truck goes to the other side, a different driver drives it forward. Maybe it's like a system like NAFTA in North America, trucks and passengers just seamlessly move across border without really halting. But something like that, I think, is a need of the hour. Of course, there's already so much work done on bulk movement, commodity movement by waterways, and also railways. But this could be the real kind of missing key.
Yeah, I think on the overall perspective, all the discussion, I just want to summarize in 2-3 words. we have made inroads into a lot of our relationship and the way we are doing business between India and Bangladesh. Now I think it's the time to streamline our operations, more value add on it, and improve our efficiencies on it. Mr. Linka used three perfect things: efficiency at border, sustainable logistics, and digitization. I think that's the need of the hour. And Ashish and CUI, Ganesh and Rajiv sir are all part of the logistic committee. We should do a paper and present how, to the government, how we should be handling this. Is something which going forward, since Bangladesh is the growing economy, will not only help India grow, but also the growth of West Bengal, growth of our Northeast states will play a big role in this whole chapter. So thanking all the participants. Thank you so much. I think we've overshot on time. Paramita was calling me that please finish it up. So Paramita, over to you. I think over to Yogesh. Yogesh, you're already joined.
Yeah, thanks, Smita madam, and thank you everybody. It was a very thought-provoking and insightful presentation and discussion, I must say. So taking forward from here on the second panel, what we have to discuss a topic about logistics again, reshaping logistics and warehousing. So on the panel, we have a mix of young people, young entrepreneurs and experienced people from eminent companies. I will quickly introduce the panel, which will talk about the topic of reshaping logistics and warehousing. And also it has focus on East India. So on the panel, we have Mr. Aditya Shah, Executive Director of VTrans Group. Aditya Shah has been the youngest director in the family-run business, and after doing his master's in finance and investment from Nottingham University, he has joined the family business and run it successfully. He takes care of human resource, technology, and marketing side of the business. Welcome, Aditya, to the panel. We have Mr. Ryan Oliver, Vice President and Business Head of Contract Logistics at Agility India. He is a keen strategist with more than 35 years of experience in supply chain and third-party logistics. And he is a highly process-driven person with an eye for details, which is very good. And he has also managed multinational teams during his previous stints with DB Schenker, Eastman Kodak. Welcome, Mr. Ryan Oliver, to the panel.
Thank you.
Also, we have Mr. Gauri Shankar, Head of Investments from Ascendas First Space in Logistics and Industrial Developer out of India. Gauri Shankar heads the investment function at Ascendas First Place. He has more than 20 years of experience in real estate and private equity investments, fund management side of it. He is being deputed to the Capital Land platform, which is previously managed funds worth of $800 million for India private equity businesses. He is also responsible for investment, fund management, and asset management side of for Ascendas First Space platform, which is focused on logistics and industrial infrastructure development in India. Before working with Ascendas Space, he has worked with Deloitte, Acacia Capital, and Samba Financial Group, to name a few. He is an alumnus of London Business School. Welcome, Mr. Gauri Shankar, to the panel.
Thank you. Pleasure having.
We have Mr. Prateek Jalan, another young entrepreneur from Kolkata. He is the director of Jalan Builders and recently successfully closed first private equity fund investment deal in Kolkata or eastern part of India in logistics and development infrastructure sector with Sander Investment. He has basically done his bachelor's from University of Cardiff, UK, and worked in other corporates before joining the family business of Jalan Builders. Welcome, Pratik, to the panel.
Thank you, Yogesh.
And last but not least, we have Mr. Ranjit Kedia, founder and CEO of Last Mile Transtech Private Limited. He's a hardcore supply chain operations specialist with more than 15 years of experience in delivering complex supply chain solutions to the clients like Havells, Otis, Bajaj, Dell, G, to name a few. There is a last mile company 6 years back, which provides end-to-end solutions in a time-bound manner to the clients. And before that, he has Am I audible? Sorry.
Yeah, it actually just went off for a while. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh. Yeah, welcome, Mr. Ranjit Kedia, to the panel. So I think I will start with supply chain folks on the panel. Ryan, question to you. In your opinion, what is driving demand for logistics and warehousing in general, and where more specific to the eastern part of country?
Well, am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We have seen, from business perspective, retail and e-com is definitely growing. And of course, the pandemic to some extent has contributed in the e-com business because started kind of ordering online. 3PL industry by itself is growing, so they are creating a demand, because there's a push to developers to start developing more and more facilities in and around Calcutta, particularly. You also see growth happening in the surrounding states like Guwahati, Ranchi, Patna, and stuff like that, which earlier was not happening. Some of the drivers from an industry perspective we are seeing are, the high tech, whether it's communication, whether it's computer hardware. Of course, the FMCG segment has been there, it will be there, and is going to continue to grow. The FMCD is growing, the consumer durables segment is also growing, and they are one of the large occupiers today of footprint. They are growing largely now in East. We are seeing that happening. We get a lot of inquiries coming in for these kind of things. We all know that the automotive and manufacturing is already there, and that is one of the sectors also. Yeah. And of course, garment exports. So this is some of the thoughts that come to mind in terms of which are the industries that are driving the business and helping this eastern sector grow. From, let's say, from a warehousing perspective, we've seen concentrates happening around, let's say, particularly in and around Calcutta, Sankrail, Dankoni, which is growing. We have Madhyamgram because these are along the highways. But apart from that, I think there are certain other places also now. We are seeing some traction happening on the warehousing structures, Durgapur, Tejpur. So some of these belts, we are seeing a lot of traction. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks. So coming to the warehousing infrastructure provider, Pratik, question to you. How do you see this logistics infrastructure has evolved over time, especially in eastern part and Kolkata to be specific?
Thanks, Yogesh. Firstly, I'd like to thank ICC for having me a part of the summit. For your question, Yogesh, logistics in the East has grown threefold in the last couple of years. We have got a lot of interest from MNCs and from investors from around the globe, and we've also proven to be one of the best performing states in terms of distribution and consumption. As one of the speakers earlier said that we are almost catering close to 45 to 65 crore people, including our own state, neighboring countries, and states. So I mean the demand has really risen, and because the demand has risen, The infrastructure has also really evolved. We have really upgraded ourselves. E-commerce has been the main driving factor, and they are claiming to have 25% of their turnover from eastern parts of India. So the logistics in the last 3-4 years from class B asset is going to a class A asset. So that is why we've now started terming it as a grade A logistic parks or grade A developments. Because with all these private equities and institutional developers coming in, they have really educated the market, and they have given us a lot of know-how of how things are done in Western developed countries. So on the whole, the infrastructure is upgrading a lot.
Thank you. So coming back to Aditya, it's more on a operations logistics side. What is you are facing when operating across India and especially in the eastern markets like Guwahati, Kolkata, Bhubaneswar?
So yeah, thanks for having me on the panel. So yeah, I think we being into the logistics space and specifically into the surface transport, which is road transport, we know how each geography of the country behaves typically in terms of the client, the infrastructure, the policies. Uh, if we talk about specifically the eastern parts which you mentioned, I think some of the challenges which we generally face are on the the road conditions, the traffic congestion part. Sometimes the need for or the ability to source the right kind of talent at some of the places also keeps becoming a challenge. And one big hindrance that we definitely face is the availability of loads, for returning the vehicles which terminate in the east. I think that's been a perennial issue. It's, I think, a function of the kind of industrial output and the production is there. So I think the holding period of vehicles in the east, for the vehicles which are moving from all parts of the country has always been a kind of an area where I think most of the players in the transport segment would have certain challenges. Sometimes I think the weather conditions also, as well as the local dynamics which come into play, which result into closure of business for certain period of times or slowdown of business, I would say. They also keep on disrupting the overall free flow of goods and movement in east. So broadly to speak, I think these could be some of the challenges which we face because we have a pan-India footprint. We try and compare each geography, and as I mentioned, these are some of the challenges which we face on a daily basis.
Thank you, Aditya. So again, moving back to institutional developers, Gauri Shankar, a question to you. For institutional fund developers like Casenda's First Place, how do you see the investment climate in logistics and industrial sector evolving in eastern part of India? And a follow-up question would be, what are your plans for the East?
Yeah. First of all, thanks for inviting me, and hello to everyone on the panel and those that are participating as well. Just like I think Pratik was telling before, there's been a sea change in logistics and warehousing and industrial development over the course of the last 3 years in particular, with a lot of institutional grades developers coming in. And thanks to COVID, unfortunately, I mean, it has been a disaster for us in our personally, but it has helped the warehousing sector sort of leapfrog. In fact, skip a few years of natural organic development because of the requirements of because logistics and warehousing had become a backbone for all the e-commerce and online deliverables. So the ability and the capacity to absorb these shocks has woken up the industry as well because of exigencies like these, which were not planned for. You're having now industries move slightly away from just-in-time, supply management to sort of keeping inventory in as a work in progress so that they are able to stabilize their production. Similarly, you're having a lot of e-com players. The e-com growth has been almost 80 to 90% growth in just a year, and the involvement of tier 2 and tier 3 cities towards e-com development has been a positive. So all of this has sort of enabled what is largely the forgotten parts of India. I mean, before 2 years back, warehousing was largely limited to only the major cities. Kolkata was one of it, but but the hinterland was not something which was addressed or thought about. Now the hinterland is also becoming a major driver force, and I think there are recent research which shows that the amount of online ordering that happens in tier 2, tier 3 cities is much more than what is happening in tier 1 and tier 2 cities in terms of the growth factor, not in terms of value, but purely the number factor. So Kolkata being as a gateway to the eastern part of India and to the neighboring countries as well becomes a very, very important market for a lot of institutional players. It has its challenges in terms of land procurement and development approvals and things like that, which many of the local players can sort of have figured out a mechanism to get by. But institutional players, given they are new to the market, find it much more difficult. If things like those could be sorted out, I think there is it's a kind of a very, very good growth trajectory we are on. And from Asinda's answering a second question, from Asinda's own personal perspective, we have been looking at Kolkata for the last 2 to 3 years, trying to get into the space. And now it was usually a pull factor. We wanted to be there. Now we are getting to a situation where tenants are demanding us, that you have to have a warehouse in Kolkata, you have to have a warehouse in Guwahati. What are your plans? When are you developing? What used to be demand previously used to be, okay, we need a 50,000 square feet warehouse, we need a 30,000 square feet warehouse. Now the demands are more like 150,000, 200,000. So the size of the warehouses also have sort of tripled or quadrupled. This all augurs very well as long as we are able to address the endemic issues such as land procurement, approvals, and the ability to for tenants to operate without having major industrial relations issues. If those basics can be sorted out by a partnership between private parties and public authorities, I think it could be a great thing. Will give a great boost particularly for Kolkata, West Bengal, and also for the rest of the northeast part of India.
Thank you. I think good summarizing of challenges what institutional grade players are facing currently in Kolkata and those markets. So coming back to Mr. Ranjit, I remember our first meeting where I took a note of you're very active in northeastern part of India from logistics perspective, and you have delivered some of the complex supply chain solutions in that area. And I still remember that you have a special liking to that area, and you have been able to do some phenomenal work in northeastern states from logistics perspective. So how do you see this inland waterways being developed, helping to ease the supply chain in the eastern part of India? I think Ranjit, I'm not able to hear you. Ranjit, your voice is.
I'm audible now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. Thank you, Yogesh ji, for this platform and exploring the black hole, what you say, in Indian supply chain. Like, I feel that post GST, Indian supply chain is supposed to be, COG, center of gravity rather than political. And now we are exploring that basically. So I feel like, when we talk about Eastern India, we are always forgetting about Bihar, Jharkhand, and Odisha. Right now, I think we were discussing about West Bengal and, northeast part of India actually. I think we are, living, I think, of 25 crore people beyond that, because these 11 states together is 35 crore. And Ashish told, like, we are targeting 60 crore, means we are 50% within India. And if you see the 30 million square feet warehouse, out of that 26 million belongs to West Bengal itself. Rest 2-3 million you will find in Guwahati, Patna, and Ranchi together. So the distribution of space is quite you can say duplication. Key material goes from Delhi to Calcutta, again come back to Dhanbad and all. So we are incurring, you can say, fuel, we are incurring TAT, everything is double actually. We can find out somewhere where we can really find out gateway to the Eastern India, or you can say eastern part of the globe, or Indian subcontinent. Actually, we can reach Northeast or Bangladesh by that gateway. We have identified a location, or you can say two locations, where we can really do a lot of, you can say, work and disturb the market, like Bahragoda and Bari. We are working on few, you can say, logistics park, and Bari. We initiated this 3 year back, and exploring. We have shared this working with you also, and there are few things like if you explore this, the total market for the logistics people, like 3PL people, is 18 billion in Indian market actually, 18 billion, and the warehousing space leasing is 20 billion. So 3PL are lesser than this warehouse providing. So I think a very good opportunity for Mr. Jalan, who can look into this, who can create some warehouse for us so we can sell it out. So it's an opportunity for this platform where we can explore. Challenges are there, like if we start a new location, then creating capacity and meeting capacity with the first you can say initial days will be difficult. But what we see, we have a slide. I think Yogesh, if you allow me, I would like to present one slide which can help a lot actually in this discussion.
Sure.
Can I share?
Yeah, I think a host has to, ICC host, can you do the needful?
Debabrata, can just looking at it.
If you see, like, Dhanbad, Gaya, it's a part of Eastern India because they are not coming into northern part. I think up to Lucknow, we are considering north. After that, we are considering east. Bihar is always part of, Eastern India. Odisha is part of East India, and Jharkhand is also part of East India. But again, if a material is coming from Delhi, or you can say northern part of India, then it goes first to Calcutta, then again come back to Patna. Again, it goes, then come to Calcutta, even it comes up to Bihar, Gaya. So this is 900 kilometer additional work for the product actually, the inventory cost, the fuel cost, TAT, everything. In fact, we don't have any aged inventory supply chain in this market. Because of the, we are not able to give a solution to this.
Sir, you can present yourself PPT, sir.
Okay, 1 minute, sir.
Yeah, that's right.
Hope my slides is visible to all of you.
Yes, sir. Make it sir full. Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Right? It's visible.
Yeah, yeah.
You can look into this slide, sir. Basically, we are targeting something. This is the, you can say, current situation. All the material goes first to Calcutta and coming back to different part of, you can say, eastern India, like Patna, Ranchi, Dhanbad, Gaya, and according to that, division and district. And what we suggest, COG-based distribution model in East India fulfillment.
Yeah, I think insightful.
Like, if we are talking about, like, FMCG market of 25,000 crore and FMCG market of 3,800 crore. And we can cover this 3,239 tehsil within, you can say, 300 kilometers, say 72 hours. My industry mate from agility can confirm this is possible if we can do it, like 200 kilometer, 300 kilometer, 100 kilometer, lane. If we create this lane, we can serve market better than what we are doing right now. So this focus has to be there. I think I will not take much time on this. Stop. From here.
I think Ranjit ji, you have rightfully said that Bhubaneswar, Patna, as part of Eastern India, people to look at how they can service that market, and we really need to relook at the the mid-mile, last-mile delivery in those when we are talking of Eastern India. So, considering that as a point, I will come back to Mr. Ryan. Ryan, if you have to think of reshaping the logistics the way you are doing currently and the way you want to do in future, what are the two things you would do in order to reshape the logistics in India and in eastern part of India, to be precise?
Well, let me first address the first part of your query. One is from an India perspective, I think most players are going into a consolidation mode. So as rightly pointed out by, I think, Gauri Shankar, when we talked about, going in for larger facilities, which is 100,000, 200,000 kind of square feet areas, and concentrates into the key distribution points. So one of the things is definitely, investment happening there. There's a movement happening there on development projects. So that's from the India perspective. Coming down to, let's say, the eastern sector, I think today one of the major challenges which most of us face as peers as well as developers is, having the so-called fire compliant state-of-the-art facilities that's the need of the hour for the East. Because we have only a few concentrates, like, for example, Dankuni. Dankuni is now coming up with, fire compliant as well as, let's say, government-approved kind of warehousing facility. The rest of the locations, we still struggle for approvals. We still struggle, with landlord. We still struggle with the quality of the warehousing that is put out in the market. So I think that is something which, as a group, people need to concentrate on and say how best we need to, scale up these warehousing infrastructure as well as on the price band. So I think that is going to help people get more and more interested and invest into particularly the eastern sector. As rightly put by Mr. Ranjit, he talked about the Ranchi or the Patna or the Bhubaneswar as points of development. Yes, they require to be developed, but unless we start doing that from ground up in terms of infrastructure and stuff like that, it's very difficult for investors or even 3PL companies or even end customers to look at that as a distribution point. So we go back to the drawing board.
Ryanji, can you be a little closer to mic? People have even feedback.
Sorry, 1 second. Can you hear me now?
Better.
Yeah, okay. So, coming back to what Mr. Ranjit said, people are forced to use the hub and spoke, and that's the reason they use Calcutta as the hub and then move material back downwards into, to the other states. I think if we see development in the other states happening at a faster pace, people are certain to invest, and then the cost of distribution, cost of storage will come down because then they'll use direct distribution into these centers.
Thank you. Coming back to Aditya with the same question, what's your take on how would you like to rethink about the strategies of logistics and how do you see that what all government supports or policy level changes will help you to do business more efficiently?
Um, so I think most of the people have opined, and in the earlier sessions also, that it's I think a lot has to do on the infrastructure. I think that needs to keep it's already working, but it needs to always keep pace with the kind of the industrialization, the overall economic growth of the country. The infrastructure development, whether it is roads, rail, airports, it should not be in a lag. It should be, that could be, if it comes in the forefront, that will really help everyone achieve their goals, whether it is industry or whether it is logistics. So rather than infrastructure catching up, why not have infrastructure planned in advance? That could be a big impetus to the entire industry. And I think the right steps in terms of overall formalization of the economy through the GST, I think that is also something which is helping the overall, the sector, the formal sector, which I think needs to, continue. And however, digitally we are able to connect better as an ecosystem is going to definitely help us go ahead. And I think definitely on ground, as I said earlier, that we keep the overall supply chains gets disrupted whenever there are people, or whenever there are ground when there are strikes or when there are issues on those fronts. How better are we able to tackle? Because I think these all ultimately end up costing the industry and costing the customers. So that also is something which if the governments they do their part, but I think they can definitely step in the efforts for it. And I think the overall ability to listen to each other, I think that definitely helps. I think platforms like these, more and more if organized, I think there is an industry view which can be transmitted through these platforms to the governments. The more interactive we are, I think we'll be able to find common solutions to problems, like how we discussed in the earlier platforms, like Indo-Bangladesh major areas where I think there is huge amount of wastage of time, efforts which goes in. So I think that's a lot of there's a lot of government intervention obviously required, not only at domestic level, but I think at between two countries to sort out. So yeah, and I think there is a lot of digital intervention which is happening. I think the industry overall, logistics industry over the last 4 5 years is going through a sea change of how technology is playing a part in each segment, whether it's transport, whether it is warehousing, and the total solutions part. So I think the industry is already moving in a very fast lane, and I think if the requisite support is available, from the external environment, I think we can. Why can't we really flourish, and why can't our cost, really come down as a part of the GDP? So I think these are all factors which affect. I think on the people part and the skills development, I think government is. I mean, there is a lot of initiative already being taken, and I mean, we as an organization are also part of various forums where we discuss. So skill development could be an area where we feel things have already started working, where there is a lot of focus that has come in, and that is going to help because the industry is going to require big amount of manpower with the growing or with the opening up of economy post the COVID scenario. So that's when these skilled manpower will be required and they will be absorbed. So I think to summarize, I mean, I've said a lot of things, but I think to summarize, yeah, I think there is work that can happen in infra, that can happen on policies. And, you know, the overall ecosystem around logistics is something that contributes to the cost. So there's only much that the industry can do. There's a support required from all angles.
Thank you, Aditya. So a question to Pratik. Pratik, in terms of infrastructure, people are talking of having better sustainability aspects. So I am aware that you have volunteered for having green building certification for your park. So how do you see this sustainability angle playing out in logistics infrastructure play in coming days?
Yogesh ji,
Yeah.
I think he's joined, yes. I think he joined again. He was, Pratik ji,
Okay,
are you
so
here? I think you can move on. I think he just will join back, yes.
Yeah, I think I will direct this question to Gauri. Gauri, I think Ascendas has globally put in solar power and a lot of green sustainable initiatives. So what's your plans for India on sustainability side of it, and how do you see uh, tenants or clients responding it to you over that? Gauri, you there? I think Gauri is also.
I think, I think Mr. Pratik Jalan is here. You can show the question.
Yeah, Pratik, we lost you in between. So I have a quick question for you. I was talking about better infrastructure and sustainability as a part of bettering the offering in terms of green power like solar panels and having green certifications from IGBC. I know that you were contemplating to having one at your park in Kolkata. So how do you see this adding value to your clients or tenants from sustainability point of view?
See, green building has always been on our cards as well as a developer, but the issue we are facing is that in order to get IGBC certification or any kind of green building certification, the cost on the project is very high, and we are not being able to, as such, get the value out from a tenant point of view. So that there are very few tenants who actually are willing to give a premium for green certified building. And I mean, we are still doing things like rainwater harvesting. We are still doing plantations and everything, but mainly in terms of solar. So solar energy is definitely cheap, but the problem with that is it is not for the year long. You know, so even if you're using solar power, we cannot depend on solar power for 12 months. The companies give a guarantee for 6 months. So we anyways have to have the permanent power from the grid. So the infrastructure cost actually becomes double, and we are not being able to take out the value by installation of such mechanism.
This is Ryan. Can I just break in and address a question to Pratik?
Yeah.
Okay, Pratik, you know, I'm glad Yogesh, thanks for bringing up this as a topic. You know, agility we've been trying to actually get onto a solar-based, you know, power solution, at least a part-time solar-based power solution for the longest time. The challenges we are facing is number one is because of course, you know, the cost in terms of what are the footprints that you want to install your solar panel, and largely the solar paneling in the warehousing 3PL business is what to power up your computer systems, your material handling equipment, recharging, and so on and so forth. So it is not a very high density kind of requirement, but so the cost of investment versus the ROI on that becomes very expensive. That is one. Two is most, at least all our warehouses are, on long lease to landlords. So you're going to be installing a solar panel onto a warehousing kind of structure where we don't know what is the longevity of that contract, because everything is customer based. If the customer decides to exit, more often than not, you may have to exit that location, or it becomes unviable. I think the third question, which is more important, was we've been hearing for the longest time that service providers or solar panel, power suppliers will eventually be able to sell back to the grid, thereby making the proposition very viable for third-party logistics service providers to maybe install at their warehouse. What is your take on that? Do you think that the government will finally approve to sell back power to the grid so that becomes cost effective?
Sorry, if I'm supposed to address that question. I mean, honestly, I don't think that viability is there, because especially for a place like West Bengal, I think we have surplus power. So we are not very sure whether the grid would be accepting surplus power from our solar panels. And if you see, then as on today, by the infrastructure cost, there's not a very big difference in the cost of power by by solar energy and by the grid. I mean, we were trying to work for a particular tenant a few months back, and we saw that the difference in the energy cost was only 15 to 20%, and the capex that has to be put into solar energy is very high. So we didn't find it very viable at the moment.
Correct. So that's precisely my point. We find that the cost of investment is so high versus the ROI. ROI you possibly will recover after 10 or 15 years. So that becomes a challenge for for players in the market. So I think maybe we look to the ICC to maybe create a white page on this and talk to the government as to what can we do to subsidize and make solar paneling more cost effective or viable to players like you and me.
Correct.
Great point, both Pratik and Ryan. And coming back to Ranjit ji, I think I just wanted to pick your brains on how the technology is disrupting the supply chain solutions. How are you seeing that happening in real time? And how it has impact on not only transportation, but on warehousing side of infrastructure?
Yeah, unmuting myself taking more time, right? So
yeah,
yes, this digitalization, we can say, like, we are doing last mile delivery, or you can say real time delivery, and visibility control, as well as cost effectiveness. These three things are key when we talk about technology enabled supply chain. So now the focus on emerging company like last mile, or the company who is in 5 year or 6 year, they are well enabled. We are targeting complete visibility from, you can say, source to end customer, complete visibility milestone wise. And I think this is affordable and very much in control with the company who is into last mile delivery, especially. We see that, like, this new channels, e-com and all. Without that, it is not possible to, score any client over there. As far as, current market is there. We think within 5 year of time, we will be able to reach on that level where our distribution model will be 100% covered through this, digital or technology enabled supply chain. I can see that. We don't see any challenge, much challenge over there, and we are, I think, ahead of you can say rest of Southeast Asian company, Southeast Asia, or compared to the European market also, we are far ahead of that. Actually, our visibility is much more than the rest of other part of globe. Actually, we are much ahead.
Okay, yeah, just same question to Aditya and Ryan. How do you see the technology affecting the warehousing infrastructure? Basically, what additional infrastructure requirements you foresee you need from developers like Pratik or Ascendas to cater to digital revolution you are seeing in?
From a tech perspective, I would say, okay, we already talked about solar paneling from an infrastructure, but maybe a Wi-Fi enabled kind of facility, because today when we go to a facility, the first thing a 3PL or rather an end customer wants something which is, he wants to use a scanned operation, which means there's an investment for a Wi-Fi kind of, environment. That is one. Two is another way of looking at a capex. Today we have to invest huge amount of capex in terms of your heavy duty racking or a basic infrastructure in the warehouse. Another way of doing this would be if, let's say, developers they come equipped with a floor plan, with the racking, and build that into the cost per square foot in terms of the rentals. It just takes the need for third-party logistics companies to invest a huge amount of capex, because again, once the capex is built into that into the projects, then you are actually stuck between the devil and the duplicity. The customer decides to exit, or if landlords for some reason ask you to exit because of escalating rentals, so whatever happens, you have a capex commitment to do that. So if developers could start looking at coming out with solutions of providing a fully equipped warehouse, and build that into the cost per square foot, no problem. At least that asset remains there; it becomes a fixed asset for you. 3PLs come in just to kind of operate in that facility. That is just a kind of off the cuff opinion I could give.
Aditya?
So I think from the technology angle, I think what requirement could be different, because we are into transport. I mean, our we are not as big as in the warehousing segment, but we need warehouses for our hub management or transshipment management, which I think basically the internet I think internet is a little poor. Sorry. So that is something which, but I think the bigger challenge which I feel, if there is a better collaboration, I think there are transport specific focused warehousing segment that really is available. I think most of the companies in our segment, we have to either go and build up a build to suit kind of a warehouse in most of the places, because for a typical hub movement we need number of extra bays, different levels of bays for different truck sizes, etc., which we generally don't get very easily available. So we really need to either find a piece of land and developer to help us build something build to suit kind of an option, or we have to then compromise and operate in warehousing infra, which may not be very efficient on the transport side. So the many parts of the country really having a lot of developers coming forward with warehousing solutions which are targeted towards transport or express or courier companies, which typically is like running bays, multiple number of shutters, etc., etc. And obviously I think it's a basic necessity now to have good LAN connection for Wi-Fi's and all. But I think that is one thing that I would definitely feel we've seen some kind of a struggle across the country on that side.
Because end of the day, that once you move into a facility, then you have to set up a tower, you have to set up a LAN connection, you have to do all those kind of things, which becomes a little bit difficult for, let's say, an outside player who has to invest into that property. So,
yeah, I think. Thank you. So I think I see that Gauri is not able to join back. So with that, I think if we have any questions from audience, we are ready to take that. Otherwise, I will sum up the thing and hand it over to Mr. Kanish Sethi. So just to sum up the discussion, what we had, I think as rightly quoted by Ryan, logistics and supply chain are the wheels that propel the business forward, and it is always important to be ahead of curve in this sector. It requires not only support from policy standpoint, where government can help in terms of easing out, reducing number of curbs for either buying lands or moving goods from place A to B. Also, it has seen that technology is trying to disrupt the sector and trying to make it more efficient. Ground reality in India is logistics cost is around 14% of GDP cost, which is highest among all the developing countries. And government has rightfully announced that they want to reduce it to the 9% level, 9 to 10% level. They have taken some initiatives in terms of making ports efficient, promoting inland waterways, promoting building road infrastructure so that truck movements become faster, creating multimodal logistic parks, having rail connectivity along with road connectivity to the ports, and directions. They are taking right steps in that direction, but still a lot to achieve to make it more efficient in terms of reducing cost of logistics. But we are hopeful that with all these forums like ICC, which are promoting the discussion and creating awareness around that, we will be able to reach there sooner or later. Thank you. Thank you, ICC, for giving me this opportunity to moderate this panel. And thank you all the panelists for your valuable feedback and insights.
Thank you.
Thank you, ICC. I appreciate invited me to this panel. I think it was an extremely learning experience. Hearing about all the changes and developments that are happening for between India, Bangladesh, and how much we have progressed. And thanks for this opportunity to talk about logistics and supply chain. Thanks, Atat.
Thank you, and thank you, Pratik. Thank you, Aditya. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Ajit.
Thank you. Thank you to all our speakers who has addressed this session. And our sincere thanks to JLL who has supported us in organizing this event. Thank you to the Deputy High Commissioner of Bangladesh in India, based out of Kolkata, the Honorable Minister who addressed us, and Matlu Banerjee, our friend who has always addressed us for years. Thank you, sir. Captain Mohammed Tarafdar, Calcutta Port Trust Deputy Chairman, Mr. Mehra, Dr. Basil, thank you, sir. Mr. Ashutosh Gautam, Mr. Ajit Kumar Singh, Surya Lenka, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks for sparing your valuable time. We thank very sincerely Mr. Aditya Shah, who I know has a very busy schedule, but he still stayed with us. Thank you, Mr. Shah, Mr. Ryan, Mr. Pratik, and Mr. Ranjit Kedia. Thanks, all of you, sir. So it has been a very engaging session, and we will definitely come up with some outcome, some recommendations from ICC, and we'll share it with you all for expert views. And thanks to all the attendees who has attended the session in spite of it being little outstretched. Thanks to the members of the press who has covered our session. Looking forward to having similar interactions in the future. With this, we end today's session and looking forward to meeting you all soon. Thank you.